Errol's descent into fantastical thinking added to the chaos. Obsessed with beating roulette, he conducted bizarre experiments, spinning a plastic wheel and microwaving it to test probability. He dragged 16-year-old Elon to Pretoria's casino, disguising him to look older, to record numbers while Errol calculated under a betting card. Elon, skeptical, researched roulette, wrote a simulation program, and tried to convince Errol his schemes were futile. Undeterred, Errol claimed to have unlocked a total solution to randomness, tying events to the Fibonacci sequence and Mandelbrot set. "If I share it, all activities relying on chance will be ruined," he told the narrator, a claim Elon dismissed as witchcraft. Errol's reality-distorting assertions bewildered his children. He made baseless claims, like insisting U.S. presidents were divine and above criticism, or spun heroic tales casting himself as the protagonist. "He changes reality around him," Kimball said. "He believes his own false reality." This mental manipulation left Elon and Kimball questioning their grasp of truth, a form of mental torture. Errol's contradictory accounts of his family relationships, claiming Elon and Kimball's stories of abuse were to please Maye, yet deferring to their narrative, further muddied the waters. "Let them have the floor," he said, sidestepping accountability. Elon's first wife, Justine, saw Errol's influence in Elon's behavior. "I'd see shades of these horrible stories surface in him," she said, using "you're turning into your father" as a warning when he veered into darkness. Yet she distinguished Elon's harshness from Errol's malevolence. With Errol, really bad things could happen. With Elon, you'd want him on your team in a zombie apocalypse. He'd get those zombies in line. A one-way ticket to freedom. Elon's resolve to escape grew as Errol's abuse intensified. He urged Maye and Errol to move to the United States with him and his siblings, but both refused. "Determined," he declared, "I'm just going to go by myself." Initially, he sought U.S. citizenship through his maternal grandfather's Minnesota birth, but Maye's Canadian birth complicated the process. Instead, he targeted Canada as a stepping stone. Visiting the Canadian consulate alone, he secured passport applications for himself, Maye, Kimball, and Tosca, excluding Errol. The approvals arrived in late May 1989. To save money, Elon booked a flight 14 days in advance, enduring 2 tense weeks with Errol. On June 11, 1989, days before his 18th birthday, he dined with Errol, Kimball, and Tosca at Pretoria's finest restaurant, Cynthia's. Errol drove him to Johannesburg Airport, sneering, "You'll be back in a few months. You'll never be successful." Elon boarded the plane, determined to prove him wrong. Errol later spun a different tale, claiming he inspired Elon's departure. He described a despondent Elon, refusing to leave bed on Republic Day 1989, until Errol suggested studying in America. "It was my idea," Errol insisted, alleging he connected Elon with a U.S. cultural attaché. Elon debunked this as another of Errol's self-aggrandizing fantasies, noting he had already secured his passport and ticket by then. Elon's departure marked a turning point, driven by a need to escape Errol's psychological grip and pursue his ambitions. The years with his father had honed his resilience, but left emotional wounds, reflected in his own mood swings and distrust of others. Leaving South Africa was both a literal and symbolic break, setting him on a path to redefine reality on his terms, through innovation, risk, and an unyielding drive to succeed where Errol predicted failure. Immigrant, a new beginning in Canada. In June 1989, at 17, Elon Musk boarded a one-way flight from Johannesburg to Montreal, fleeing his father Errol's psychological abuse and chasing opportunity in North America. A myth later emerged that Elon arrived wealthy, pockets brimming with emeralds from Errol's Zambian mine. In reality, Errol's emerald profits had collapsed years earlier. Elon left South Africa with $2,000 in traveler's checks from his father, and another $4,000 from Maye, who cashed out a stock account from her teenage beauty contest winnings. His true asset was a list of Maye's Canadian relatives he had never met. Arriving in Montreal, Elon found his mother's uncle had moved. He checked into a youth hostel, sharing a room with 5 strangers. "I was used to South Africa, where people might rob or kill you," he recalled, sleeping on his backpack until he realized Canada was safer. Marveling at homes without window bars, he embraced his new environment. With a $100 Greyhound Discovery Pass, he embarked on a 6-month bus journey across Canada, heading 1,700 miles to Saskatchewan to meet his second cousin, Mark Tagolon, on a wheat farm near Moose Jaw, his grandparents' former home. The bus, stopping at every hamlet, took days. At one stop, seeking lunch, Elon nearly missed the bus, which left with his suitcase, traveler's checks, and clothes. Left with only his knapsack of books, he faced weeks of hassle replacing the checks, an early lesson in the need for better financial systems. In Saskatchewan, Elon called Mark from a bus station. "Hey, it's Elon, your cousin from South Africa." Mark and his father welcomed him with a sizzler steak dinner and invited him to stay. Elon worked cleaning grain bins and raising a barn, celebrating his 18th birthday with a cake inscribed, "Happy Birthday, Elon," in chocolate icing. After 6 weeks, he bussed 1,000 miles to Vancouver to stay with Maye's half-brother. At an employment office, most jobs offered $5 an hour, but one paid $18, cleaning boilers at a lumber mill. Donning a hazmat suit, Elon crawled through a tunnel to shovel caked lime from a boiling wood pulp chamber. "If you didn't remove the goo fast enough, you'd be trapped, sweating your guts out," he said. It was a Dickensian steampunk nightmare, full of dark pipes and jackhammers. Maye and Tosca, building a new life. While Elon was in Vancouver, Maye decided to leave South Africa, inspired by his move. She scouted Canadian cities, dismissing Vancouver's rain and Montreal's French language, settling on Toronto as their destination. Tosca, then a teenager, sold their Durban house and furniture, joining Maye in Toronto. Elon followed, while Kimball stayed in Pretoria to finish high school. The trio squeezed into a 1-bedroom apartment, with Maye and Tosca sharing a bed and Elon on the couch. Money was scarce. Maye cried over spilled milk, unable to afford more. Tosca worked at a hamburger joint. Elon interned at Microsoft's Toronto office, and Maye juggled jobs at a university, a modeling agency, and as a dietitian. "I worked every day and 4 nights a week," Maye said. "I took one afternoon off for laundry and groceries, barely knowing what my kids were doing." Their hustle paid off, allowing them to move to a rent-controlled 3-bedroom apartment with felt wallpaper, which Elon stripped at Maye's insistence, and a worn carpet. Tosca pushed for a $300 thicker carpet over a $200 option, anticipating Kimball and Cousin Peter's arrival, who would sleep on the floor. Their next purchase was a computer for Elon, essential for his growing technological passion. Elon, still socially isolated, had no friends in Toronto, retreating into books and coding. Tosca, vibrant and outgoing, embraced the city's social scene. When she went out, Elon, fearing loneliness, insisted on tagging along. "No, you're not," she'd retort, but he persisted, agreeing to stay 10 feet away, reading a book while trailing her to clubs or parties. His solitude contrasted with his family's resilience as they adapted to Canada's challenges. The move marked a fresh start, but Elon's early experiences, losing his belongings, taking grueling jobs, and supporting his family, reinforced his resourcefulness and determination, traits rooted in his South African upbringing and honed by necessity in a new land. Industrial relations, a social and strategic awakening. In 1990, at 19, Elon Musk enrolled at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, seeking not just an education, but a social life absent in his lonely South African childhood. His SAT scores, 670 verbal, 730 math, were solid but unremarkable, leading him to choose between Waterloo, known for engineering, and Queen's, which promised a livelier campus. Waterloo was better for engineering, but it didn't seem great socially, he recalled. There were few girls there. Craving connection over coding, he picked Queen's, where he felt he already surpassed the computer science and engineering faculty, but didn't want to spend my undergraduate time with a bunch of dudes. Housed on the international floor of a dorm, Elon met Navad Farouk, a Pakistani Canadian raised in Nigeria and Switzerland, who became his first close friend outside family. Both outsiders, they bonded over computer games, obscure history, and science fiction. For me and Elon, Queens was the first place we were socially accepted and could be ourselves, Farouk said. Elon excelled academically, earning A's in business, economics, calculus, and computer programming, but B's in accounting, Spanish, and industrial relations. The next year, he took another industrial relations course, studying worker management dynamics, again scoring a B. Later, he told the Queen's Alumni magazine that he learned to collaborate with smart people and use the Socratic method to align goals, skills his future colleagues noted were only partially developed. Elon's true passion lay in late-night philosophical debates about life's meaning, a hunger born from friendless years. Until then, I had no one to talk to about these things, he said. Most of all, he and Farouk dove into board and computer games, where Elon's strategic mind thrived. Strategy games, wired for war. Elon's competitive streak shone in strategy games, a genre he embraced as a teen in South Africa and refined at Queens. Unlike the first-person shooters he once played, strategy games demanded high-level planning, resource management, and tactical thinking to build empires. From the ancient art of war to his later obsession with the Battle of Polytopia, these games became his escape, stress relief, and training ground for business acumen. At Queens, he mastered diplomacy, a board game of alliances and betrayal. During one match, he warned a player in his flat monotone, "You're hurting yourself. If you do this, I'll turn your allies against you and inflict pain." His persuasive threats often secured victory, Farouk noted. The 1991 release of Civilization, a landmark computer strategy game, captivated Elon and Farouk. Players build societies from prehistory to modernity, choosing technologies and infrastructure. They played for hours, desks rearranged to face off, entering a zone until we were exhausted, Farouk recalled. Next came Warcraft, Orcs and Humans, emphasizing sustainable resource supply chains like mining metals. Elon relished pinpointing the moment he knew victory was his, telling Farouk, "I am wired for war." In a class using a business simulation game, teams competed to grow a company by setting prices, advertising budgets, and research investments. Elon reverse-engineered the simulation's logic, ensuring consistent wins, a glimpse of his analytical prowess. Bank Trainee, Seeds of Disruption. When Kimball joined Elon at Queens, the brothers developed a bold routine, scanning newspapers to identify intriguing figures, then cold-calling them for lunch. Kimball, more outgoing, led the outreach, while Elon, less adept at charming mentors, followed. "If we got through, they usually met us," Kimball said. One target was Peter Nicholson, Scotiabank's strategic planning executive, an engineer with advanced degrees in physics and math. Impressed by their curiosity, Nicholson lunched with them, discussing philosophy, physics, and the universe. Maye bought them $99 suits from Eaton's, complete with free shirts and ties, for the occasion. Nicholson offered summer jobs, placing Elon on his 3-person strategic planning team. At 49, Nicholson found a kindred spirit in 20-year-old Elon, solving math puzzles and debating the philosophical implications of physics. "I didn't have many others to talk about these things with," Nicholson said. They explored Elon's passion for space travel, and when Elon attended a party with Nicholson's daughter, Christy, his awkward opener, "Do you ever think about electric cars?" hinted at his future focus. Elon researched Latin American debt for Nicholson, analyzing Brady bonds, U.S.-backed securities, repackaging unpayable loans from countries like Brazil. Noticing some bonds traded at 20 cents on the dollar, despite a guaranteed 50-cent value, Elon saw a no-lose opportunity. He called Goldman Sachs's trading desk, adopting a deep voice to inquire about buying $5 million worth. The trader confirmed availability, and Elon, ecstatic, pitched the idea to Nicholson, expecting funding. Scotiabank's CEO rejected it, citing excessive Latin American debt exposure. "This is insane," Elon thought. "Is this how banks think?" Nicholson later clarified the bank had its own effective strategies, but Elon's experience fostered a healthy disrespect for finance, planting seeds for PayPal. The job also revealed Elon's aversion to working under others. Uninclined to deference or assuming superiors knew more, he chafed at corporate constraints, a trait that would define his entrepreneurial path. His time at Queen's and Scotiabank marked a transition from isolated coder to collaborative strategist, blending social growth with a sharpening instinct for disruption. Physics drilling down to fundamentals. In 1992, at 21, Elon Musk transferred from Queen's University to the University of Pennsylvania, seeking greater academic rigor. Queen's had been socially welcoming but intellectually unchallenging, and when a classmate moved to Penn, Elon followed. Finances were tight. His father, Errol, offered no support, and his mother, Maye, juggled multiple jobs. But Penn's $14,000 scholarship and student loans made the move possible. Elon chose a dual major in physics and business. Physics appealed to his engineering mindset, echoing Errol's influence. The essence of being an engineer is addressing problems by drilling down to the fundamental tenets of physics, he said. Business studies were a pragmatic choice. I was concerned that if I didn't study business, I'd be forced to work for someone who did. My goal was to engineer products and never work for a boss with a business degree. Despite his reserved nature, he ran for student assembly, poking fun at resume polishers by pledging to eat 50 copies of any resume listing the role while standing on his head. He lost, sparing him from a student government world he was ill-suited for, and instead found his place among geeks who shared his love for Dungeons and Dragons, video games, and clever science jokes. His closest friend was Robin Wren, a physics Olympiad winner from China. He was the only person better than me at physics, Elon admitted. As lab partners, they explored material properties at extreme temperatures. During one experiment, Elon dropped pencil erasers into super-cold liquid, smashing them on the floor to test their behavior, revealing his curiosity about material science. He discussed applying physics to rockets, telling Wren, "I want to build a rocket to Mars." Wren dismissed it as fantasy, unaware it foreshadowed SpaceX. Elon's interest extended to electric cars, severed by California's 1992 mandate for 10% electric vehicle rows by 2003. Over food truck lunches on Penn's lawn, he read battery research papers, declaring, "I want to make that happen." He also championed solar power, writing a senior paper, "The Importance of Being Solar," warning of dwindling fossil fuels and climate risks. His final page proposed a futuristic solar satellite beaming energy to Earth via microwaves, earning a 98 from his professor, who noted the last figure comes out of the blue, but praised the very interesting and well-written work. These three passions, rockets, electric vehicles, and solar energy, would define his career. Party animal, a cautious social leap. Elon's emotional intensity often required escape, and at Penn, he developed a new outlet, parties, alongside strategy games like Civilization, shared with Queen's friend, Naveed Farouk, and his encyclopedic reading, inspired by The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He embraced a social scene led by Adio Ressi, a charismatic Italian-American transfer student. Ressi, with his big personality and love for nightclubs, founded an environmental newspaper, Green Times, and tried to create a major called Revolution. Both housed in a freshman dorm with strict party rules, they rebelled by renting a house in West Philadelphia's rougher edges. Ressi devised monthly blowouts to cover rent, transforming their house with black lights, phosphorescent posters, and a junkyard horse-head sculpture with red-lit eyes. They hosted bands, DJs, and Jell-O shot tables, charging $5 entry and drawing up to 500 people. Once, Ressi nailed Elon's glow-painted desk to the wall as art. Elon, unimpressed, reclaimed it as a desk. When Maye visited, she was horrified, cleaning frantically and guarding the cash box with scissors during a party, fearing the house's shaking would collapse the ceiling. She slept by an exterior wall for safety, unnoticed by the brothers. Elon thrived in the party's vibe, but remained detached. "I was stone-cold sober," he said. Adio would get wasted, and I'd bang on his door to manage the party. Resi observed Elon's aloofness. He enjoyed being around a party, but not fully in it. The only thing he binged on was video games. Despite the revelry, Elon's core remained solitary, like an observer from another planet, learning sociability. Resi reflected, "I wish Elon knew how to be a little happier." His pen years marked a pivotal shift. Academically, he honed his physics-driven approach to problem-solving, laying the groundwork for SpaceX, Tesla, and Solar City. Socially, he stepped out of his lonely shell, finding camaraderie among geeks and cautious joy in parties, though never fully at ease. The blend of intellectual rigor and tentative social growth equipped him to tackle ambitious goals, tempered by a lingering sense of alienation that would fuel his relentless drive. Summer Intern, exploring technology and ambition. In the summer of 1994, between his junior and senior years at the University of Pennsylvania, Elon Musk stood at a crossroads. The 1990s offered ambitious Ivy League students two paths: Wall Street's financial allure or Silicon Valley's tech-driven optimism. Rejecting lucrative Wall Street internship offers, Elon dismissed bankers and lawyers as contributing little to society and disliked his business classmates. Instead, Silicon Valley's entrepreneurial zeal beckoned, a place where a .com suffix could attract venture capital overnight. That summer, Elon secured 2 internships in Palo Alto, aligning with his passions for electric vehicles, space, and video games, setting the stage for his future ventures. By day, he worked at Pinnacle Research Institute, a small firm with Defense Department contracts, to develop a supercapacitor for storing and discharging electric charge rapidly, potentially powering electric cars or space weapons. Elon, fascinated by energy storage, wrote a paper proclaiming the ultracapacitor a radically new technology, not just an incremental step. Evenings, he joined Rocket Science, a video game startup. Arriving unannounced, he tackled a challenge the senior engineers couldn't solve: enabling a computer to read CD-ROM graphics while moving an avatar. Using internet message boards, he devised a DOS-based workaround bypassing the BIOS and joystick reader in 2 weeks. Impressed, Rocket Science offered him a full-time role, but Elon declined, needing to graduate for a U.S. work visa. He also realized that, despite his love for games, creating them wouldn't maximize his impact. "I wanted to have more impact," he said. King of the road, a hands-on innovator. Unlike many 1990s tech enthusiasts who leaned toward software, Elon embraced both hardware and software, a throwback to an era when tinkerers opened Apple II computers or souped-up car engines. The shift to sealed devices like the Macintosh or modern cars distanced most from hardware, but Elon relished the tactile, solder, battery cells, and engine parts. Owning a 20-year-old BMW 300i, he scoured Philadelphia junkyards on Saturdays for parts to enhance it. When BMW introduced a 5-speed transmission, he borrowed a repair shop lift, using shims and grinding to retrofit it into his 4-speed car. It was really able to haul ass, he recalled, reveling in the upgrade's performance. That summer, Elon and Kimball took the BMW on a 3-week road trip from Palo Alto to Philadelphia, delaying their return to Penn's boring campus. The car broke down repeatedly, including after a dealership repair in Colorado Springs. At a truck stop, Elon reworked the mechanic's fixes himself, showcasing his hands-on prowess. Over Christmas 1994, he drove with his girlfriend, Jennifer Gwynn, to Queen's University in Toronto, gifting her a gold necklace with a green emerald, which he claimed came from his father's South African mine, a myth, as Errol's Zambian mine had long failed. In 1995, post-graduation, Elon and Robin Wren drove cross-country to Silicon Valley, stopping at Denver's new airport to study its robotic baggage system. Elon noted its over-automation and complexity, a lesson he'd revisit with Tesla's factories. They underestimated the complexity, he said. The internet wave, seizing opportunity. Set to begin a Stanford PhD in material science to study capacitors for electric cars, Elon grew restless. "I figured I could spend years at Stanford, get a PhD, and find capacitors aren't feasible," he said. "Most PhDs are irrelevant." He envisioned 3 areas to impact humanity: the internet, sustainable energy, and space travel. In 1995, the Internet's commercial explosion, marked by Netscape's $2.9 billion IPO, demanded immediate action. The Internet wasn't going to wait for me to finish graduate school, he realized. During his final Penn year, and 9X executives talk about an online Yellow Pages, Big Yellow inspired Elon. Seeing 9X's plan as non-interactive, he and Kimball envisioned a virtual city navigator, combining business listings with maps. Elon began coding it, sensing a market gap. Before Stanford's enrollment deadline, he sought advice from Peter Nicholson, his Scotiabank mentor. Walking by Lake Ontario, Nicholson urged, "The Internet revolution only comes once in a lifetime, so strike while the iron is hot." He advised delaying graduate school, noting Elon could return later. In Palo Alto, Elon told Robin Wren, "I need to catch the Internet wave." He enrolled at Stanford, but immediately deferred, telling Professor Bill Nix about his Internet maps and Yellow Pages software. "I'll probably fail, but if I do, I'd like to come back," he said. Nix agreed, predicting Elon wouldn't return. The decision to prioritize the Internet over academia marked a turning point, channeling his technical skills and bold vision into the entrepreneurial frenzy of Silicon Valley, setting the stage for his first startup.